Hi, I'm Steve Ferrell, and welcome to the 30-Day Meditation Challenge. If you're new to this page, my suggestion is to click the subscribe button down below so that you can stay on board with all of the new videos that will be coming at you. This following meditation will be a breath exercise meditation. It'll be a take on what is usually called the yogic three-part breath. I like to call this variation string breath, because we'll be using a little bit of a visualization of a string that travels through the body, connecting one part to another part. If at any time through this breath meditation you notice a lot of thinking or maybe even some anxiety arising, just know that it's okay to take a break. Also noting that within this meditation that we're not focusing on really deep breathing. More so, we want the breath to feel natural, right? Not too efforted, definitely not forced. Right? We're not trying to hyperventilate as we do this particular meditative technique. So I'm going to ask you to find a comfortable position. For some of you, it might be sitting in a chair. For some of you, it might be lying on the floor. Right? Both of those are fine. Sitting against a wall if you need to. All of these positions are okay. And then again, the invitation to softly close the eyes. And just knowing that if it seems inappropriate to close the eyes, the recommendation is to keep the gaze open but soft. So that you're seeing, but you're not necessarily looking at anything in particular. And we'll start just by simply feeling the breath moving in and moving out. More of an involuntary breath. The kind of breath that you breathe all day long when you're not monitoring your inhales and exhales. And at first just noticing that when you leave the breath alone, and let it do its thing, where do you feel it move? Are you more of a belly breather naturally? More of a chest breather? Some of you might even feel your breath more in the back of your body as opposed to the front. But that it's from this place of attention, we'll start to add some depth to inhale. And a naturally lengthening of the exhale. And just as you begin to put some effort in breathing, without trying to aim the breath in a specific way, just noticing that when you add effort, where does that deeper breath want to go? And then beginning to aim that deeper breath down into the belly. And if it's difficult to feel the breath moving in the belly, know that there's always an option to place a hand there. If you are lying on the floor and maybe you have a prop handy, something like a yoga block, right, or a book, you could stack that on top of the belly, just as a little tactile feedback as to the movement. And sometimes in variations of three-part breath, we'll be asked to limit the breath in the ribs or the chest, which for some people can start to create a contraction around the upper body. And so instead of that variation, my suggestion is just to limit the amount of breath that comes in so that you're breathing in just enough breath only to fill the belly. And that's it. So that even though you could take a deeper breath, right, we're refining the way that we bring breath in. Feeling that as you inhale, the belly will expand, right, as the diaphragm descends. And as you exhale, feeling how the belly comes back in as the diaphragm ascends. As you feel that first of 3 parts, begin to imagine, to the best of your ability, a string that travels from your belly button towards the back of your rib cage, around the area of your shoulder blades. And then we'll start to bring in this second area, the back of the ribs. So as you breathe in, filling the belly, and then moving that breath up and back towards the back of the rib cage, followed by a slow, easy breath out. And again, inhaling from belly into back ribs, right, following the pattern of that string, followed by a slow, simple, easy breath out. If you are lying on your back for this particular technique, one of the things that I like about lying down to do this is being able to feel how the ribs expand into the floor as you breathe into that second part. If the back is not making contact with anything, trying to feel for that, right? Some expansive quality in the back of the ribs. And just like when we were doing the belly portion, right, we're not trying to grip in the area of the shoulders, the upper back, or the chest to stop breath from moving there. Instead, can we only bring in so much breath that it fills the belly and then moves to the back ribs? As you feel those first 2 of 3 parts, I'm going to ask that you expand your attention one more time to include the area just below the collarbones. And that string will get longer one more time, from navel to back ribs, and then from the back ribs up and forward to the collarbones. And then as you inhale, you follow the pattern of that string. Belly to back ribs up to collarbones. Slow, simple breath out. Again, belly to back ribs to collarbones. Smooth, easy exhale. If there is any difficulty feeling the breath in the chest, just like the belly, again, the option to place a hand, right, or a prop of some sort. as you practice that 3-part breath, belly, back ribs, collarbones, I'm going to offer one final option. And the option is to add some pauses in between each of the parts. And so you would breathe into the belly, brief pause. Breathe into the back ribs, brief pause. Up and forward to the collarbones, brief pause. Slow, easy breath out. Again, breathing into belly, pause, back ribs, pause, collarbones, pause. Slow, smooth exhale. If you start to explore the pauses, and you notice that within the pausing some discomfort or, again, maybe some anxiety begins to arise, one option is to decrease the length of the pausing and see if that's helpful. Another is to just let go of the pauses. That maybe the pauses are something that we have to work up to. Move through just 5 more rounds of this 3-part breath. Whenever it is that you finish your 5th and final round, we'll keep some of the depth and the length of the breath, but beginning to let go of the aiming and the pauses. As you start to release the aiming and the pauses, just like the beginning of practice, noticing where that deeper breath just wants to go. Some of you might even notice that as you let go of the aiming and the pauses, that the breath continues to move in that direction of belly, back ribs, and collarbones. And so just taking note of that. And then beginning to let go of the effort of even the breathing. Just allowing the breath to return to a nice, regular, and relaxed rhythmic movement. Noticing again, how does that effortless breath want to move? After a few rounds, noticing that effortless breath, and start to bring back some subtle movement into the body. Wriggling fingers or toes, circling wrists, ankles, moving the head. Just whatever movement feels natural. In time, you can softly open the eyes. Just bringing your attention back into the space that you're in. Noticing not only how does this body feel now, but how does our circumstance feel? How does the room feel? How does the moment feel? A couple of the things that I really love about this particular technique. One is that a lot of the times when three-part breath is taught, that it's usually geared more towards feeling just the front side of the body. Right? We'll feel the belly, we'll feel the ribs, we'll feel the chest. Right? But knowing that that's not really how the breath actually moves, that the breath moves in all directions. And so being able to feel some of the breath moving sideways or backwards. Another thing that I really love about this particular technique is that as we move through our day, as maybe the mind gets wrapped up in thinking, some anxiety begins to arise, or just a lot of thoughts, some uncertainty is there, that the body will have this tendency on occasion to hold tension. And so we can use this breath technique as a way to notice where we might be holding on to tension, where we really don't need to. Some of these common areas would be the areas of the abdomen, the mid-upper back, the chest. Right? Others might be the shoulders or the pelvic floor. And so we can use this technique as a way to notice where we might be holding or gripping. And then on top of that, that we can use this breath as a way to coax more attention into those areas and maybe offer some softness. Also, what I love about this technique is that because the mind is elusive even on a good day, that sometimes the body will show us what the mind is doing even before we recognize what the mind is saying. And the better we get at tuning into what the body is doing, how we might be gripping or holding, where the breath is moving or maybe not moving so well, right? That we can use the body as a tool to get into the mind, just to notice what the mind is doing in any given moment. And so I really hope that you enjoy this technique. I encourage you to use it as often as is available or as often as you need to, right? To use it with students or clients. To finish, we'll bring hands to heart center. We'll bow head to heart. And one brief bow. Thank you.